I got a couple of requests to explain how I made this Hollow Knight animation. And 10 months later, I wanna take YouTube seriously, so I'm coming back with a tutorial. The software I used for this is Blender, which you can download for free, link in the description. And for stitching the clips together, I used Final Cut Pro, but really you can use any video editing software. Just take note that I won't be covering the basics of Blender, like camera movement and the fundamental commands. I'll leave a link to a beginner tutorial for you guys in the description. Alright, once you're in Blender, you can start modeling your subject for the animation. But if you don't want to model, we can actually get our models for free online. So I got these models from sketchfab.com, and of course we make sure to give credit to the 3D modeling artist. And we just download the model like that. So we're going to download it in the OBJ format. And once you're here, you should get the Hollow Knight fan art, this folder, and you just have to look for the OBJ file, which if I open this, it's right here. Then go here in File of Blender and then import OBJ wavefront.obj, and we have to navigate to it. And it is right there, OBJ, and we now have the 3D model in Blender. But for this tutorial, we don't really actually need the default textures it comes with, so we're just gonna delete the extra models we don't really need. So to delete, just select it, then press X and delete. So now we have the 3D model, and to get the texture that I basically used a PBR texture. So we have to go online, any free PBR website, just search it up. And here I go to freepbr.com, but it doesn't really matter what website you find. Okay, so now we have the cement texture, and pretty much you just have to go back to Blender, go in the shading tab here, select your model, and for this we need to simply, let's get rid of this, just click it and then press X. Alright, to make sure that this next part works, so you have to go into Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and search for Node Wrangler, and just check it. It's really built in Blender already. So select this, hit Control Shift T, go to Downloads and find the cement that you downloaded. Select everything by pressing A, or just dragging your mouse, and hit this button. Once you do that, it will automatically apply all the textures. Now if we go back to layout and switch to rendered mode, let's actually turn off this. It is now in, it now has a stone material to it. So to add lighting, I just hit Shift A and scroll down to light. Let's add a sun. To move it around, hit G and GX. Okay, and there. Switching to rendered, now we can have a view of the Hollow Knight guy, the knight. I made it really dark by going here into the world settings, world properties, and making this just completely black. Hollow Knight vibe, I switched the color here, you can adjust it to make it blue. This also looks a bit rough, so we go into UV editing. Okay, I feel like this is not very beginner friendly, but I'm pretty much just showing you guys how I do my thing. So I select all of the UV mapping. I feel like this is too advanced for if you're just getting into it, so I apologize, but I will link a simpler tutorial in the description. So I select all, then press S to scale it up, because I feel like it's a bit big. And now if you look at the model, it's more, the details are smaller now. To add a fog effect, I use I added a cube and it made its material volume scatter. Lower the density to 0.2. Check on shading. Okay. Then we should reconnect this to the volume. Going back to layout mode, now you can see the blur effect. Okay, now we have Hollow Knight. Let's actually just apply the same material to this one. I also added those floating particles. So to do that, make a new object, a cube. Add a material, change it to emission, which is right there. And then let's put it to the side so it's not beside not blocking the view. Select the plane underneath, emitters, add a new one, render object. Then we get the eyedrop tool, click this, and then we go down here, field weights, lower gravity, where is it? Put it all the way to 0 so the cubes actually float. If you press spacebar, it will float, and you'll see we have floating cubes now for effect, but it's supposed to look like dust. So to do that, we just lower the scale here. Okay, 0.005. Okay, there we go. We also need to change the lifetime. Let's make it 100 and end at 250 and start at -50 so that, let's see how that looks. We need it to go further up. Okay, that works. Then if you want the particles to blow in a specific direction, just Shift A, add a force field and wind. Let's rotate it, and here you can see the particles follow where the wind is pointing. Let's make it face kinda upward, but kinda slanted too. So there. We have a basic scene, and now we just need to animate the camera. Going to the first frame, I'll add a keyframe here. Press I and keyframe the location and rotation. And going to let's say 160 frames. Let's move the camera. I don't know. It's like go into a close-up or something. Then I again. Make sure it's there. Make sure the thing is here. I don't even know what it's called. So if you play it, it should do this. Slowly go from this point to that point at the 160 frame. Alright, so for the render properties, you want to do it in cycles because I tested it in Eevee and it doesn't look as good. Okay, so for the samples, the higher it is, the better it looks. So I think 64 works. But if your PC or laptop can handle it, or if you're willing to wait, you can increase it to increase the quality of your output. And you can also check the denoise option to make the output look even better. In output properties and under format, you can adjust this resolution. So right now it's 920 by 1080. You can make it vertical make it 1080 920, you know. It's up to you what format you want. Another important thing here is the frame rate. I just set it to 30, but you can put whatever frame rate you want here. The frame range is pretty much how long the video is, how many frames it is. So it starts on frame 1, ends at frame 250. And then output is set to, pretty much you just set where you want your animation to be uploaded so you can find it later. And then file format, I set it to this one, FFmpeg, and RGB. Encoding actually should be set to MPEG 4, I'm pretty sure. Well, that's basically it for what I did. Then you just have to add music, editing, stitch it in with other stuff, and you can make something really epic.